The weather was cooling off in North Vietnam. It was late November and the start of the winter, which could only mean one thing. It was now the riding season. With about 10 other people, I went to a little town about 100 miles north of Hanoi, Lang Son. We'd sent our bikes up by truck and taken a van in the evening. So the next morning, we were on the outskirts of the city, prepping our bikes for the ride and suiting up. Miles was having a bit of trouble with the electrics on his bike, but it seemed to get it working. Our guides showed up, 2 local off-road enthusiasts. And we were soon on the road for a quick ride down to the trailhead. Within yards of taking the turnoff, we were through a creek and up a trail. Miles was just ahead of me. We'd never done this trail before, so as we went along, I tried to think of a good name for this section. It led through a pine forest, and every so often we went over a little jump. There's one. And another. So I called it Pine Hop Hill. And at that point, Miles' bike quit working. Like any good, self-respecting riding partner, I just drove right on past. This trail was just too much fun. Well, actually, I needed to catch up to Michael so he would get the rest of the team to stop.
Wait! Stop! Miles has got a problem with his bike.
And he was finally able to pull up our guide, and the rest of us were able to catch up.
Miles got a problem with his bike?
One of our guides turned around and helped push Miles back to the hotel, and the rest went on our way. The trail opened up through a grassy area and became a bit rockier. Then it got steeper and went through some hairpins. And I called this section Switchgrass. After going up Switchgrass, we entered another pine forest, where the trail was narrow and covered in needles. The trees had tap marks where the farmers would get the sap for different products. So I called this section Turpentine.
Woo! Yeah! Gorgeous, man!
We took a wrong turn and had to double back. As you can see, wet, smooth pine needles on top of damp clay is really quite slippery.
Yeah, hang on.
I had my own trouble as well. Back on track, we reached a tight turn across the trench. That also took a little maneuvering. Then up a short hill, but with no run-up, it was quite hard to get enough momentum. And once you stop on an incline of slippery clay, it's really hard to get rolling again. But she was able to reduce the incline by riding it up diagonally. Our guide went by, showing us all how to do it. I kept my engine turning, and then I just slowly let out the clutch, narrowly avoiding a wheelie, and the trail broke out into a rolling meadow. We rode along the hills and then a ridgeline.
Wheelie, woo!
The views were wonderful as we went up the mountain. Coming down a gentle slope, we approached a long, steep climb, which I call Pancake Ridge. And you'll see why I call it this in just the next moment. Lisa was off like a shot, and I was right after her. I was taking it fairly easy up the hill, and then it got way steeper. I was starting to bog down, so I slammed it into first, nearly flipping the bike, but clutching it a bit, and I kept going. Lisa dropped out. Rivers did too. Trying to avoid Rivers, I also came to a stop. And when I turned around...
Oh my God! It's carnage! Try again!
Everyone was pancaking their bikes. I was nearly at the steepest bit, but my bike is quite good at starting on a slope. So instead of turning around, I kept the engine high and slowly let the clutch out. Oh yeah, old baby Blue does not disappoint in these situations.
Oh wow! Yeah! Oh man! What a ride! Oh, they all wiped out. I nearly wiped out on that hill. Good Lord.
I went back down the hill to catch the action and any potential wipeouts.
All right, I gotta get this on film.
I did exactly what I was trying not to do.
Yeah.
I knew that my front wheel would come up here.
Yeah.
Like, keep it right, keep it real.
Yeah. Okay, I gotta get out of the way.
People were trying to pick their bikes up and turn around. Adin blasted up for his second try, front wheel lifting as he went.
He gets it.
Lisa was next, but we were in her path, and she had to stop to avoid us.
Yeah. Oh, you're so close.
You did exactly what I did.
You can go the rest of the way, probably. He'll help you.
But one of the guys came down to give her a hand.
Crack the clutch a little bit, and that way you won't bog the engine down, and you won't throw the bike. Adin's gonna do it again.
Adin was thirsty for another try.
Who's our next victim? Adin's gonna give it another shot because he's awesome. Too slow. Faster, Yang Hun. Come on.
Then Tyler on the trigger eked it out over the crest, with Adin in hot pursuit on his third run. Eddie was last on the ascent, and he made a great spectacle for the rest of us.
Whoa! I got it on film.
Our next obstacle was the toughest yet. It was a steep clay hill full of deep brown ruts that ended up going through a thicket.
Yeah!
The brown rumpled surface made me think of something. Bacon Hill. Yeah, that's what I'll call it. It was a cool day, but the exertion made steam come out of the vents in my helmet.
I've got steam coming off me. I'm hot. Can I do this?
We had to leap our bikes up rocks and steps, a few feet at a time.
Yeah!
Further into the thicket, the branches seemed as though they were trying to push me off balance down the mountainside. And the hard, wet clay didn't help either. Eventually, Lisa made it up the hill, and so did I. So I grabbed my other camera to catch the action.
I'm surprised I didn't overheat my bike too. My God.
Oh no, overheat. Easy. Everything easy.
Mr. Two-Stroke.
Rivers was trying to get the last few feet. heard a strange pinging echo across the valley.
Best trail. Well, it's pretty darn. It ranks up there, man. I gotta say. Oh, Miles is on my 2-stroke. Yeah. Cool.
The distinctive sound of my KDX 125. Miles came up the hill, and it wasn't as easy as I thought it would be for him. The bike seemed to be running at less than full power. Something was wrong.
Yeah.
But he muscled it up the hill eventually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Victory, and a well-deserved breather. On the next hill, Michael and I were ahead of the rest of the group, so we stopped to practice a bit. Miles made it up, but was having some trouble. Yeah, something was definitely wrong with my 2-stroke. It should be able to make these hills. Everyone up, and we moved on to the next hill. And I just had to give that pit a try.
I'll try it.
I made it through. Less than graceful, but successful anyways. Along up the hill, and down the other side, which got really steep. I first went to the right, and then down, and I lined up for the small but steep rutted knoll that I called Doorknob. And I didn't quite make it.
I'm so close.
Go back down and do it.
Yeah, try again. Nah, I'll just have old Baby Blue finish this hell off from a standing start. Oh yeah. Oh, sorry about that. I wondered what Miles was going to do to get up this hill. Then he went for it.
Second gear. Third gear. Yeah. Woo! That is good.
Unsurprising. Given the state of the bike.
Adin, come on.
Dude.
So he ran around the side. We all stopped for lunch on Doorknob. And everyone was quite fatigued after about 3 hours of riding.
Oh, here we are. Heck of a ride. Very demanding. One of the most demanding trails I've ever done.
But after that, we went a little further. On this plateau, Miles just couldn't get my KDX to go any further. We had to figure out some way to tow it back to town. And Eddie was going to help Miles bring it back to the hotel. I followed the two guides to the branch off. And I found out later that we were not even halfway finished with this trail. What were we in for? The trail seemed to go on and on, up and down more hills. Down this hill, I had to jump a sunken cross trail. And I almost didn't make it.
I almost stalled in that trench, man.
Oh,
yeah. Thought.
did you record my trench jump?
Yeah, I got it.
It's a sick trail.
It is. Good view, too.
Yeah.
The next little hill looked really steep. And Michael just couldn't quite do it. And it didn't fill me with much confidence.
Oh, my Lord. Oh, my Lord. Good Lord, that's a steep hill.
On the way down, Michael put his left foot on the peg, rolled the bike down, then swung his right leg over the back without hitting his boot on the seat.
God, that's difficult. Freaking
It was a thing of beauty.
That was a good one.
Adin tried it, and his first try wasn't successful either.
Yeah, it's looking good. It's looking good.
God. Oh, so close.
so I decided to just go around the side. And as I got to the foot of the hill, I realized,
I could have done it.
well, I suppose it's a good idea to give any hill at least one try. From my perspective, it looked like Lisa had the better line.
There you go.
I gave it the gas. But began to let off the power as I went over the ruts, and I ran out of speed.
Well, that's interesting.
These motorcycles in this rolling terrain reminded me of that famous motorcycle scene from The Great Escape. And I was able to catch Adin doing a jump that made me just call it McQueen.
Oh man, come on, pull it around.
Like no room. Nice 10 to 15 foot drop.
The trail went on for hours until dark, and my batteries ran out much quicker than I wanted.